Yeah, so the question it's a very good question. It has to do with Christianity in America right now in a secular culture where our voice is a bit dissonant on different topics, and it's hard to speak your conscience without being called intolerant. Now, the first thing to do is understand what the word tolerance really means. Tolerance means you disagree with me, yet I tolerate you. So true tolerance allows for disagreement, okay? So kind of the new tolerance or the kind of pseudo-American secular version of tolerance is if you're out of step with the mainstream, you're out of step and intolerant. So to be tolerant is to be someone who's decided to join in with the mainstream. Well, that's not the classical definition of tolerance. The whole idea of free speech is that we were going to protect the ability for there to be different ideas or different thinking, and that would be okay. Now, the thing that Christians have to be very careful of is judgmental talk, especially if it's tinged with any kind of hate, is different than expressing an opinion or a conviction. So Christians have to learn to be very careful in how they speak or talk, that they really are loving and that our speech really is salted with grace. So that's the first part. Because frankly, you learn this in marriage, you learn it with kids. At the end of the day, there's only one person in the world that you can change, and it's yourself. I mean, you can try to change your spouse, you can try to change your kids, you can't. At the end of the day, there's only one person you can change, it's yourself. So I'd rather answer this question from the perspective of if a Christian is finding themselves in that position, how can they respond? How can you change yourself? I think understanding what tolerance really is, and that ultimately you have a right to have your voice if your voice is gracious, okay, and it truly expresses a conviction or opinion that you're able to articulate or defend. Unlike Phil Robertson, who also ranted about Jim Crow South and race issues that were just awful. We can't, as Christians, say a bunch of wrong things or dumb things or insensitive things and then say something on another topic and go, oh, you're persecuting me because of this topic. It's like, no, you're insensitive, or no, you're just wrong, or no, what you have to say seems just unhelpful to the conversation. So again, seasoning what we're saying with grace, but also not knowing enough not to say dumb things in the rest of the conversation, because all of that's going to be attributed to you. And then that leads into the last thing I'd say is the best way to have a voice in any conversation where you're not caricaturized or typecasted is to educate yourself beyond the other people in the conversation. I think Christians need to start getting a master's level education or thinking on how to talk about cultural issues. A bachelor's degree allows you to be in a conversation and understand it. A master's degree allows you to be in the conversation. A doctorate allows you to own the conversation. I mean, that's what they say with regard to degrees. I'm talking symbolically. Christians need to be willing to educate themselves to a master's level on the issues that they think they feel convicted they should talk about. If you don't feel convicted, then don't talk about it. You're just stirring things up, right? But if you really do feel convicted that you need to be able to speak into an issue, read, think, listen, travel, get educated enough to converse at a level that people will have to hear what you have to say without being able to just typecast you, characterize you, put you in a box, straw man you. So to me, where all this goes is just a call to education. So there's more that could be said on the secular side, but I think it's unhelpful. I think Christians need to learn how to be Christians in the environment we're in, not wish the environment was different.